Hello, this is Mary Kay, and I'm going to do a demonstration painting of a Nocturne of Mount Shasta. So what I did was I scoured the internet for Nocturnes of Mount Shasta. There were hundreds of them, and I cropped it down to this. I have a piece, I'm using a different paper today. I'm using Kilimanjaro 140-pound cold press, and a piece of water-soluble tracing paper, and I've taped that down. What I'm going to do right now is trace the shape of Mount Shasta. I'm not going to put those trees in. I'll just freehand those later. Mount Shasta is a very beautiful mountain in Northern California that you drive by when you're going up to Oregon. So that's really, I'm just gonna kind of put this darks here so I know where to stop with my snow. I know there's no snow below this line. Okay, so that's the only sketch I have, just like that. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to splatter in the sky with a toothbrush using PBO drawing gum. I've poured a little bit of it into this container. I'm going to dip it in there, and I'm going to try to splatter it like I see it in the photo, which is just kind of all over the sky. See how this goes. It's like there's a lot up above it. It's kind of like the Milky Way is right in here. So I'm going to put more right in here. And I want some over here too. A lot of stars in the sky. A lot of scars in the dye. This is a very effective way to splatter with a toothbrush. Now, I don't want stars down here. I'll pick those up in a minute. You can rinse out the toothbrush. You're going to use it again for splattering. Or if you just have an old one, kind of use it one time. Don't worry about it. So this is a cut-up credit card, and I cut it so that there's a little thing here and a little bit bigger one there. And what I'm trying to do now is I'm going to put PBO down where the snow is. So I'm going to dip it into the PBO, and I don't have to do it perfectly. Where there's a big snow field. Okay, I'm still adding my snow. There's some on this side. I'm not taking any of this PBO down under this one line here where it's dark. So So all my PBO is going to stop before it gets to that line. I'm just trying to put it in the shape of this snow, and it doesn't need to be perfect. That's good. Put that to the side, put that to the side. I don't want to have dots down here, so I'll just lift those up. This is called a pickup. Those are gone. Okay, so now I'm going to paint my sky next, except my PBO has to be dry. So what I'm going to do right now is blow dry this PBO, and I'll probably cut that out of the video. This is also going to fly away. Okay. If you touch your PBO and it comes up on your fingers, it's not dry. If you touch it and it feels tacky, it is dry. So none of this is dry. I'm gonna kind of smush this so I can get going. Get these dried. If I don't want any of these big blobs, I can just pick it out with the pickup. That's better. This one I don't mind so much because they are kind of glowy. Well, I'll get it now that I've done that. All right, so this is what I'm going to go with. Now what I'm going to do is wet my sky. Oh, I'm going to talk about my colors first. I'm going to be using Windsor Violet. This is Neutral Tint. This is French Ultramarine Blue. This is Permanent Rose. This is Burnt Sienna. And this is Hansa Yellow Medium from Daniel Smith. I didn't put out any Antwerp Blue I didn't put out any of that Fresh Violet because it takes over the palette. I don't like to use PBO when I'm painting, so I'm going to start here with fresh, clean water. And I'm going to wet my sky. I go right over the PBO of the stars on the paper. This paper today is Kilimanjaro, which is the Cheap Joe's brand. It has a nice tooth to it. It's a nice color. They originally advertised it as the whitest paper in the world. But then after that, a lot of people started bleaching their paper. Arches has been sold out everywhere, so I had to get a little bit of Kilimanjaro. I'm drying the edges. I can see it pulling up, buckling a little because only half of it's wet and half of it's not. I think it'll be fine. So what I'm going to start with is the orangish yellow in the background. So that's fresh paint there. I got a lot out when I just touched that. And I'm gonna use a little corner there. And that's pretty orange. I want to start a little more yellow than that. I'm gonna try to get a little more yellow. One thing I'm gonna not do, this is tricky, is I have to paint. When I put in the yellow, I have to put the yellow across and then come here and here. Whenever you have a color going behind something, it has to go all the way behind it. But I can't paint this because I need to leave it for the purple. So just have to be aware of that here. I'm gonna try this yellow. I'm gonna try just a tiny bit of, there we go. All right, that's where I'm gonna start. Okay, so I'm gonna start over here. This is the lightest part of the sky. Then I'm gonna catch here and I'm gonna keep going here. And here. And then over here. So that's gonna make it look like that's going behind it. Now I'll go to the more yellowy, the orangey yellow. I'm gonna wipe that up and I'm gonna make a purple color. The basic purple color I'm gonna use, I gotta make sure I don't have any yellow left in this brush, is gonna be French ultramarine blue and permanent rose. Just trying to get, so this makes purple. Trying to get a little pinker, trying to make it match that picture. Don't know if you can see the picture now. Let me move this down. See if that's showing. Barely. The sky's not really showing. So I'll move this here. I'm trying to paint the sky right now. That's pretty close there. A little more pink. And if you want to, you can use permanent violet. It's almost exactly the same color, but it's very staining. So here I go. I'm going to just start from these corners. My paper's already drying. Kind of hard to believe it dries that fast, especially in El Granada. Okay, making more sky color. I don't want it to be super solid. I want it to be, oi, I got a little bit of a French ultramarine blue that wasn't blended. Be a little bit careful doing purple over yellow because it can get muddy, but this is just looking beautiful, so that's not a problem. Now I'm very carefully going to add a little more water and try to just work this down here. I want this sort of streaky and not even. But again, if I have a color that comes to this side of the mountain, it needs to pick up over here. You have to know that that color goes behind. Now, do I like that? I think I'm going to leave that just the way it is. If I paint it too much, I'll mess it up. I don't want to do that. So there's my sky, and what I'm going to do right now is work on the dark part of the bottom here. So I'm really working on the night, the very dark part. And so this I need to, I'm going to get rid of this yellow for now. I can remix that pretty easily, or I'll just make my darks up here. That's a better idea. Okay, so my darks are going to be a lot of French ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. The reason I like to mix my darks like this rather than using, say, indigo, is that these will lift a little bit and you get a variety of color. So if you have extra brown over here, you get extra brown. If you have extra blue on this side of the petal, you get extra blue, and then you can start working that in. So I'm going to start from the bottom here. Get my corners nice and dark. I'm painting on dry paper, so this is wet onto dry, it's considered. Now there are the foreground in this, you can't really see it in the photo, but there's some greens there, so I'm going to quickly mix some greens. And I'm going to use Antwerp blue. Maybe I should have put a little Antwerp out. And burnt sienna. This is my favorite green. It's a beautiful dark green. I'm going to put it right in here. So I want my darks to be, I want them to have variety in them. Now I'm going to switch it up. Just add some Antwerp into that petal. I'm going to make a little bit lighter green and see what it does. So I'm going to use Antwerp. I'm going to put it in my orange petal. Oh, that's interesting. I like that. So if I just, this is called charging. So the paint's wet and I'm adding wet paint to it. I should just get some light greens in there. This is a great time to sign my name into this wet painting here. So this is wet. I'm just going to write my name in cursive. Oh, I think I need to sharpen this. Mary Kay S. Jolly. Right now it's sort of light because I've scraped up the paint, but I'm just going to put another color over it and it'll turn dark. Okay, now I just need to go in up to here, and that I'm going to use these darks, mostly French and burnt sienna. If you're in a hurry, you can always add a little bit of neutral tint and just it gets really dark really fast. So I'm going to add a little bit of permanent rose in there. Whoa, not that much. Holy moly. There's that neutral tint. All right. Okay, well, I'm just painting it. Just filling in the colors, basically. Getting it nice and dark in here. Hoping to have some variety of colors. Just mixing, changing it up a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to take this purple. I'm going to use my, not my big brush here, but my, this I call it a museum brush because it comes from a museum. It's about a number 10 round. And so what I want to do now is, because the sky is dry, now I can paint in the color, this violets going down this mountain, right over the PBO. Like this. I want to change it every little bit. I want to sort of just change the color a little bit. I have a feeling when I touch that bottom dark, it's really going to bleed up in there. Yeah, maybe. This part's, I'm just going to put a little more paint in this foreground here. Not foreground, but the foreground mountain. Not those colors. Try that again. There we go. Tell ya, I haven't been painting with gushy paint lately. All right. Let's try this. Oh, that's quite fun. That's what we want to do, is have fun. Okay, now once I get that out of my brush a little bit, I'm adding more. Okay, that's good. I like this at the bottom. Okay, so now back here is where I want this just to be a little bit paler than the foreground mountain. This one, I don't know the names of these peaks. But that peak is a little bit behind the other one. And then I want this a little darker right in here, and I want this side a little darker. So that's going to be the French and the burnt sienna. Makes that nice, beautiful dark blue. So I just want this almost black over here, coming up. And I want it dark right in here too, right in front of that back peak. If you feel like you need to darken the top of this mountain a little bit so that it shows up better against the sky, I say go ahead and do that. This one I don't want to touch. I like how it looks. It's kind of soft out there. I don't know if that's... I don't want my eye going out to the edges of the painting, so I don't want to have any whites out there. I don't know about these flecks in here. Usually I like a little white flecks. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that the way it is. I'm going to take my brush and rinse it out. And now I need to dry this again because I'm going to lift up all the PBO. It has to be dried, perfectly dry before you lift up the PBO. This is a pickup, like I showed you before. If your paper's totally dry, when you use this, you'll just get beautiful white markings where your paper was protected. If your paint is a little bit wet, every time you do this, you're going to smear the wet paint over your beautiful white marks. So because this mountain is a lot darker than our sky, I thought I'd start with the sky. I kind of like how that looks. Here we go on the snow. Oh, it's lifting up nicely. I hardly ever wait long enough and don't ruin my whites. So I'm glad I dried that extra well today. And this is just lifting up perfectly. Okay, it's almost done. I just want to add trees and some color to my snow. So for the color in the snow, it's just this mountain color, or There can be some of the yellows reflected in that snow too, so just gonna use the same colors just to, it's not pure white snow. It's got, I think it needs to be a little pinker than that. There, that's about it. And I just paint right over it. So I'm just kind of thinking if I want to put a little bit of orange in the snow, because I feel like the sky would, oh, right here's a white spot I didn't touch. Oh, look at that. That's just a little bit of reflected light right there and there. That's about enough. Like that. I think it could be a little bit more shadowed. The snow can be more shadowed right here. So I'm gonna just find myself a good little puddle, good little spot in my palette. Ah, that, I don't usually put out permanent rows. That's probably why. There we go. How's that gonna look right in there? Pretty good, okay. So, darkening that snow. So it isn't, it's at night, it's almost nighttime, so there we go. I like that. This needs to be darkened down there. Okay. So there's our mountain in at night. I'm going to put in a few trees. So these are going to be the very dark blue again. So this is the French. I'm not going to use this brush. I don't usually paint trees with that brush. I paint trees with my 3/4 inch flat brush. So I want this nice and thick. I can add some neutral tint to it. It's just very, very dark blue, almost black. And I'm going to put this tree right up here. So I'm just going to put the top of it with my brush like this, angled like this, and just do that. And touch it again. Where do they go down? We don't know. There, maybe. It should go as dark. The bottom of this painting should be as dark as this tree so that it just disappears into the darkness. Let's see how we're going to do that. I'll put another one here. This one is almost as tall as that one. That one's actually a little taller, but I don't want to touch it now. I like it. So I'm going to make this one a little taller. Or actually, I could put in that snag. Just put the snag in. Where might I put the snag in? I could put this one right here. Okay, that's good. And I just put little dots across like that. Just a little leaving area. So trees don't get that, they really don't get that fat as they go down. Okay, and then if I just sort of blend it into this, that's good. Okay, I like that. And the snag, maybe I can paint that with my credit card. Let me try that. Here's a snag. Should I put it? Where would the snag be? Right about here. Closer to this one than that one. Okay, see what happens. What is it? Did it snag? Or did it blob? It kind of blobbed, but I think I can make it snaggier. Just have to scrape up that blue with my credit card and then just use the corner. Like There's a little eagle's nest or something up there. Make it a little bigger. Take my eye from the blob. Now I just want to sort of just darken this whole bottom here so that the trees, maybe I'll just put another tree here so that the snag is coming out of, I don't have to show you where the snag's coming. All right. Do it like that, and do this way. Give this another coat of darkness. Decide if I'm happy with the trees. They're almost all exactly the same height. Somebody's got to be taller. I'm just sort of blotting in this down here so that my eye's not going to that green so much. But I do like the green in it. Okay, I think I'm done. That's it. Now that I look at it, I don't like that little spot right there. It's too orange right there. I need to just put a little bit of coloring over that. So my eye's not going straight to those two spots. That's not where I want my eye to go. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, there it is. I'm not going to put anything on the stars. I'm just going to leave them the way they are.